I'm Kate Jacobs, Data Operations Manager.
I'm Chad Seaver, Strategic Account Director.
So let's talk a little bit more about data wrangling. First of all, when you're setting up dashboards, you want to make sure that you scope early and figure out the breadth of what you're going to need so you can collect everything together. Think about what questions you want to ask and what metrics you need to pull in to answer those questions. The next piece is to connect and transform your data. So you want to actually bring in all of your different source systems into one place so that you have everything together. From there, you're going to transform and make sure that you're cleaning up your data, breaking out any additional dimensions that you have. Again, through that scoping process, you'll kind of identify what that second piece is going to look like. And then setting up your dashboards and visualizations, thinking about what action you're going to take based on those visualizations. The next piece is curating your view. So thinking about the breakouts that you did in your Connect and Transform stage, when do you need to pull those levers to optimize your programs or your operations or your facilities or whatever that might be where that data is coming from, making sure that you have that easily accessible and at your fingertips, and then using design to your benefit within that, thinking about color schemes and how to layer dimensions on top of each other so you get the most context within the most granularity.
It's also important to be prescriptive with the reports that you're putting out there. Make sure that the users who get them know what to do with them. So if you can coach them through by setting those alerts and informing them on how they should use that information, that's helpful. You also want to make sure you're building for the future. So anytime you take an ad hoc request or an ad hoc report that you're building, think about how you might use that in the future and make sure it's going to be recyclable. And lastly, it's important to enable a feedback loop. Your users get these reports. Do they like them? Do they use them? How accessible are they? Take that feedback and iterate on your reports to make them better for the future. It's important to understand how much digital data is out there. The reason people need to wrangle this data is because they're already overwhelmed with the quantity they have today in 2019. We've got about 40 zettabytes of data out there in the world, and over the next 5 years, that's going to multiply by 4. So keep that in mind. If you're already swimming in data, it's only going to get worse from here. So you better start now wrangling that data. There's 21 zeros in zettabytes, so that's a lot to handle. That amounts to about 2.5 quintillion bytes of data every day. And that's just in 2019. 5 years from now, it'll be 4 times that. Most businesses out there today are only using about a quarter of their data. That means about 73% of their data goes completely unused. There's a lot of insight in that data, and it's important that you try to use it as much as possible. And lastly, when it comes to reporting, businesses only spend about 80 cents for every $1,000 of revenue on their reporting. We can do better than that.
So why do we even want to look at that additional 73% of data? What's our objective there? So what our team is trying to do, first and foremost, is enable quicker data-driven decisions and better decisions based on that data. You can do this through more efficient dashboards, making sure that you have everything at your fingertips ready to go. You want to think about what action you're going to take based on that visualization while you're building it so that you have the path right in front of you without having to think too hard about it. Next, we want to use time more efficiently. Right now, you might be spending hours every Monday morning doing manual reporting, putting things into Excel, and spending a ton of time doing that, when you could be using that time to further develop your strategy or test out new ideas, or even implement the optimizations that you're finding from that information. So why don't we do that instead? And finally, we want to inspire curiosity and exploration within your data so that you can look at things from a new angle and find new insights without having to put too much legwork behind it.
When embarking on the wrangling of your data, it's important to view it as a marathon and not a sprint. You hear that phrase a lot, but it's really true when it comes to your reporting. You have to crawl, walk, and then run. And what that really means is, in that crawl phase, you need to automate the ingestion of your data, but really understand the foundation of that data. You need to understand your metrics and your dimensions and map out that taxonomy clearly. Understand the business questions you're going to be asking of the data, because if you don't have that foundation right at first, you won't get it later on. As you begin to walk with your data, you need to understand what transformations need to happen to the data before it's in its final state. You're going to have to build data confidence, because as you take users out of their source systems and into an external report, they need to know that the numbers match. You're going to deliver that first report and gather feedback from there, but hopefully you can provide some quick wins with that data in that first iteration. And then when you get into that run phase, you're going to be gathering feedback and changing those reports and pumping those things out, driving business decisions with your data. That's when things are really running.
My name is Jasmine Bienvenue. I'm an email marketing strategist.
And I'm Danny Taylor. I'm team lead at Email Solutions.
Contrary to popular belief, email is not dead. Email can promote but also build brand awareness and loyalty.
In addition to that, email can also drive not only e-commerce sales, but brick and mortar sales and visits as well.
Email is an effective tool because these consumers actively engage with the brand and showed an affinity.
For a healthy e-com site, the email channel should make up about 20 to 25% of your e-com revenue and traffic.
Email audiences can also be integrated into other channels like paid, social, and affiliate.
There are really two sides of the email channel. There's the email execution and solution side, and there's the email strategy side. On the execution side, we're really focused on deploying your emails, making sure all the HTML is correct, but also making sure that your database, your segmentation, and all of your automations are running smoothly.
And then on the strategy side, there's several folds to this. Typically, we start with an audit where we look at your email program and how it's performing historically and compared to industry standards. And then your best practice is that you have a strategist who looks over your email program on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, checking the numbers and making sure everything's working effectively. And then find optimizations within your email program and new emails that you should be sending out. There is a rise in interactive email. With email clients like Gmail and Outlook supporting more advanced email solutions, emails are becoming more interactive. You can do quizzes, you can check out on your email, and even just have some fun clickability in your emails.
You should also be using personalization in email. With ESPs and third-party tools advancing, and all the data we already have on these customers, there's no reason not to. You can be using this data to retarget and remarket to people who have already purchased. You can use it for on-site behavior and triggered emails. You can also have real-time content and display dynamic images in your email based off of weather or what people have bought before and all the data that you have already. Soon we'll be able to take all the work off of our plates and put AI and machine learning to use.
Now, as people actively use the Gmail program, Gmail uses AI learning to group emails together and promote the emails that people are most likely to engage with. These little annotations usually include an image, the promotion, the expiration date, and the coupon code ahead of all the other emails in the inbox.
Email accessibility. It's not the sexiest email topic to talk about, but it is something that's important to consider. With so many people in America and across the world suffering from disabilities and impairments, it's important to take these into consideration when building your emails. These considerations can be anything from font size to the back-end code, really making sure that your email can be read aloud or seen by anyone who has a disability. Your email marketing goes to one of your largest and most engaged customer bases out there. That being said, mistakes happen and they're very costly because most can't be undone. It's important to have a good QA process in place to minimize and eliminate all the mistakes you can beforehand.
Make sure you test across all email clients. Use third-party vendors for those email clients that you cannot access. Make sure you have someone test your email as well, checking for wrong links, incorrect copy, and wrong landing pages. Once scheduled, make sure you have multiple checkpoints to make sure everything is set correctly.